So let's get started. Welcome to our Sunday meeting once again. And I would like to invite you to close your eyes and pray. Heavenly Father, dear Jesus, Thank you for the opportunity of this meeting today. Reflect, feeling the presence of goodness in our lives. May the truth inspires our thoughts and words today. May we be with the divine laws, access in our consciousness, and transforming our beings in a way to respect the way of involvement that we still need to go. May we have blessed and loved meeting in tune with our eternal Father. So be it. Oh, is it hard?
It's a work.
Turn on the lights. Thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today. May Jesus bless our meeting, and appreciate our friends from the internet as well following the meeting. We would like to continue our subject about anxiety. And today we will talk a little bit more about how can I develop serenity. We're not taking place here a recipe how to do things. We are just trying to reflect what Spiritism tells us about anxiety and serenity. And through that, we will be basing our meeting today on the Gospel According to Spiritism from Allan Kardec, the book, the Spiritual Healing of Anxiety. We don't have yet the translation in English, but there is in Portuguese for those who are interested. This is written by Alírio de Cerqueira Filho. A text that I will start reading right now actually I will read them at the end of our lecture today, from the Sower of in New Times, from the Spirit Manual dictated to Chico Xavier. And a piece of the book, Evangelical Florations, from Joana de Angelis. Sower semeador. So I would like to bring some reflections today to start our meeting. Have you been noticing when anxiety takes part of your life? How do you deal with your anxiety? Have you been exercising serenity? Serenity. In most of your actions, do you feel yourself more serene or more anxious? Those are very personal questions. I would like to invite you to keep yourself the reflections about it, because our meeting today is going to be focusing and answer part of these questions, but as they are personal, everyone has different answers. So just reminding our previous meeting about 2 weeks ago, talking about anxiety. Am I anxious? We talked about the definition, the concept of anxiety. Anxiety is not the same as fear, which is a response to real and perceived immediate threat, whereas anxiety is an expectation of future threat. Anxiety is a feeling of discomfort and worry, usually generalized and unfolds as an overreaction to a situation that's only subjectively seen as menacing. So this is an important part that we talk a lot last meeting about. Anxiety is usually focused on the future. It's not like fear that's focused in the present, or sometimes in the past. But anxiety is also taking part of the future things in our lives. And then we talked a lot about the signs of and symptoms of anxiety. They can be characterized by psychological imbalance, cognitive imbalance, behavioral imbalance, social imbalance, and physical imbalance. So we can notice the symptoms of anxiety through all these 5 types of characteristics of the human. And then we talked also as well about the distrust in God. Anxiety, it is a distrust in God, either explicit or implicit. Explicit is when people self-denominate themselves as atheists and just don't believe in God, denying his existence. Implicit, it is when people say they are religious, they believe in God, but when they're put in trial, usually they remain on the surface state, they remain in the materialistic way of answering this. And finally, if we finished our meeting with seeking a way out of anxiety, because we realize that anxiety is not something good. Sometimes people say, oh, my anxiety helps me. No, not this, you really understand, but it's not anxiety. So who would like to read this passage? We finished our last meeting.
Developing serenity is to understand that we are creatures in a process of evolution, apprentices of life, protected by a great loving image. We are divine creatures with an existential purpose, which will be realized when we are in tune with pureness of purpose.
So there are 3 main themes here. So this is the first time we're talking about serenity. And also, it is a process of evolution with feeling ourselves as apprentices of life, which as divine creatures will connect us to our existential purpose. So with that said, how can we connect anxiety with serenity or serenity? Are they connected somehow? Are they the same? Not the same.
The opposite. One is the opposite.
Oops. They are the opposite. They're totally different. Because one is the ego feeling of distrust in God, life, and oneself. The other one is the existential feeling, confidence in God, life, and oneself. One is a virtue. The other one is what? What is the opposite of a virtue?
Weakness? Law?
Law, weakness is a way to describe it, yeah. Is there anybody else who would like?
Lack of humbleness? Lack of humbleness? No.
No, humbleness is this. What is the opposite of humbleness? Humbleness is the virtue. What is the opposite of humbleness?
Yeah, no, that's why I said lack of humbleness.
No, not selfish. It's the other one. Orgulho.
Can you repeat?
Selfishness. Selfishness?
No,
So you're selfish?
No, there's another word.
Orgulho. How is
Proud.
orgulho in English? Pride.
Right.
Very good. So if I'm too proud of myself, I'm not humble, because I don't recognize the rest as good as I. The important feeling is this is a novel feeling, something that connects us to our existential feeling. This is not a good feeling. Doesn't make us feel well. In consequence, put us a part of God. This brings us closer to God. This one takes us apart. So, with that said, what we will start trying to talk now is what does Spiritism tell us about leaving anxiety behind and getting closer to Serenity? If they are the opposite, I should be following the right way to behave in life. Does it make sense? So I would like to start asking you, how do you think we can develop serenity and leave anxiety behind? I would like to make this more reflective and more offering you the chance to participate.
I would say making constant questions to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I guess it's a matter of exercising, but pretty much asking if this is a true feeling, is this real, this type of questions.
So yeah, this is a very generic. Let's try to bring it closer to our lives. Like, can we find an example in mind that we are being anxious? Who can bring us an example of I am being anxious and not being serene?
Breathe, exercise.
You're already bringing the solution and step behind that. I'm asking, give me an example of anxiety.
Maybe we have something important to do. It can be work or it can be something in your life in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And you start making assumptions in your head that everything's going to be terrible, a mess.
And you want to fix it for yesterday.
Yeah.
Then you start living the 2 weeks ahead on your ass yesterday, as it has already happened, and you failed.
Yeah.
So where is the lack of serenity there?
Confidence
In oneself.
Yeah.
Because
you have to start with us.
I have to start.
I have to trust myself that whatever I'm doing, I will be able to do.
That I weren't putting something to fail in life, right? Divine laws are not against us, but in favor of us. They're here to help us, not to prove us that we are not good enough. And in God, why have confidence in God? This is a very important question. We'll talk a little more by the end of the meeting today, but this is a very important reflective moment of this reflect this discussion, because having confidence in life, yes, I have to trust that the one put in this to fail, confidence in myself that I can achieve, have everything that I need. But what about God? How can I be confident in God? It's just saying so? Is that easy? I'm confident in God. I trust in God. People just say that all the time, right? But when we saw this, a lot of people, even the religious ones, distrust Him. And why they distrust Him?
Because something bad happens, that they ask where God is. I guess then it's a very...
It's a consequence of that happening, right? Like when something bad happened, we ask ourselves, how did you allow this to happen in my life, God? I am so good person. I'll go every Sunday to the Spirit Center.
However, it can be positive, but the anxiety is you anticipate all happens. Maybe can be the fact can be alright, or can be this. You start if happen this, you
are trying to create
situations.
so many scenarios
Yes.
to the future, and that's what
To be prepared.
and then we said, okay, so to be serene is a mix of being confident in oneself, right? And then on the laws in life, but the confidence in God is a very important piece of this. When I talk about divine providence, that God provides everything, what does that mean to us? Like, what is God for us?
Always the last lessons.
What exactly is God for us? How close is God to us? Is it far away, or it is with me all the time?
That's all the time.
Yes. So why I distrust Him? Because we don't fully respect His attributes as His supreme fairness, supreme justice, and supreme law. We don't see that. Why we do this? Because, well, maybe we had fathers in life that we couldn't trust much. They weren't 100% trustful. Sometimes they brought us bad situations, or we can't understand pure love because we never really lived that in our lives. So that's the challenge, to take this and go forward and understand purely what is pure love, what is pure justice, what is someone who will always give me the chances I need to get there. When I start feeling deep of myself this, I develop something that is calm. I will be resignated to do what I have to do. So if I have to do a work in 2 weeks, I will do my part. I can even finish today if I have time, if I don't put other stuff that were in the lineup first. backward because I wanted to do this because I was getting too anxious. I can do. If I have enough time, there's no problem. That's fine. Even more, because then you have more time to think and change some things, elaborate a little more. But why we don't follow exactly the trust that we should have? We are put in that situation to achieve happiness. And this is the main goal I am trying to get with these questions. Here is an important thing that's in the Gospel according to Spiritism. In chapter 5, there is an item called Suicide and Insanity. It says, calm and resignation acquired in the manner of looking earthly life and in the faith in the future gives the spirit a serenity that is the best preservative against insanity and suicide thoughts. Well, we might say, oh my God, this is going too far. We were just giving an example of I having a problem with dealing how I manage my tasks in my daily. What is a severe state of anxiousness? What a severe state of anxiousness drives? What is the end of the road? Madness, insanity. We start creating scenarios that can't even exist. And then that goes in so severe way that can even drive us to suicide thoughts. So this is why it's so important to think about calm and resignation, calmness and resignation, as a way to look our earthly trials. Because if I start seeing life in a different manner, and those trials are not more than opportunities for me to evolve, I will be what? What is the consequence of me seeing trials as opportunities and not things to make me fail? What is gonna be my noble feeling developed as a virtue, by the way?
So what is the consequence of seeing that opportunity as just an opportunity for me to fail?
To not fail, but an opportunity for me to prove myself as I am evolving, as I already know the truth, and now I will be able to implement that in life. Like any proof or proofs that we have at the school, they shouldn't be made to for us to fail, but to prove that we know, right? So when I see this way, what changed in life? How is my feeling against that trial, that proof that I'm passing through? Is it the same feeling of scaredness, of terrified about something that's supposed to come because of the trial? Or I start feeling that a light burden in life. And this light burden, I feel appreciative in life. What is the name of the virtue connected to that?
The virtue of apprentice, which is what?
No,
No?
it's connected to apprentice, yes, for sure, but it's a virtue. When you say, damn, this is so good for me, I, I appreciate this opportunity of passing through this trial because I grew after that.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Gratitude is a virtue so important when we start seeing life not as a threat, but a great opportunity of showing that I have learned and now I am able to evolve. Does that make sense? So here is the point. Most of the time, and this is tough, we are being anxious. What is the opposite of gratitude? We are being ungrateful. Because we're seeing that as something to push me to the edge, to push me to the border of the hole and fall. Not seeing that as a great opportunity for me to step up on the stairs of evolution. So this is a great opportunity for us to reflect. If I remain calm and resignated in what I'm passing through in this earthly life, this is a great connection to serenity. Joana de Angelis says, serenity, it is a static position.
No.
Aesthetic, it's not a static position that runs between standing days and undefinitive attitudes around our existence. So this is a first very important point. Do you know any virtue that's aesthetic? There is no virtue that is aesthetic because people think, okay, being patient is just sit down and don't do the wrong. It's just patient. To be tolerant is just to give the face and leave the other people beaten, and this is tolerant. This is tolerance. Could even be if you think a little bit about it, but still dynamic, still needs hard work to offer the face and be spanked. Because many people will just run. Or worse, you'll fight that. The tolerance, all these virtues that we're talking, they demand us to work, reflect, and do something to keep in peace, to keep connected to the law related to this virtue. And the same is serenity. As I get more serene in life, I will be more focused on what I really have to do. If we go back to a few slides ago, that was related to our existential purpose. Every time that I start getting anxious to get there before proving myself, what I'm trying to do. In the school would be cheating. Right? Because I didn't study to do the test, and then I will just cheat. But can we cheat in life? Why not?
Because it's against the bylaws.
And where are the divine ones?
Our conscience.
Can we cheat our conscience? People say God is always looking at you. That's why you can't cheat him. Truly, it's because it's all inside us. And we are policing ourselves. So if I try to boycott or cheat on myself, there will be alarm calling to reflect, called conscious. My conscious will tell me it's wrong. And then I will develop anxiety. I will develop depression. I will develop so many of this mind of psychological illness that we see growing so quickly these days, because we are still in a very materialistic world that instead of telling us, work, yes, do what you have to do, make the daily bread, pay your bills, but don't forget, this is all helping you to develop your essential need. Because if you put that in first, and guys, this is very, very important because we do all the time. Oh no, you know what? I have too much stuff to do today, so I'm not gonna pray. I will pray later. Or, you know what? I have a nice party to do today. What happens with people drink, get wasted, when they remind of their essential need. No, we forget about it. Basically, because we start putting daily life in front of the divine that is within us. We can even go further. I have too much work to do today. So I work like a crazy. I go to 2 a.m. working, so tired that I can't even think a prayer before I go to bed. Then I have the terrible night. The next day I wake up, I feel bad. I'm not even going further again about the parties and this. But even the workaholic people start putting job in front of themselves. And it's not in front of God. It's in front of ourselves. It's always start with us. If we don't connect, if we don't save 5 minutes in our day to talk with God, to talk with ourselves, are we trying to connect ourselves with our essential need? Are we trying to develop serenity? So this is why Joanna says the serenity results from a methodical life, postulated in the dynamic actions of the good and in this austere discipline of the will. It's all connected. What is in my will? What I want next. I want to have a better role in the company. Nice. It's not bad to wish that. But is this my first? We usually say God's the first. God's the first. And what about myself? I am the last. God didn't create us to just adore Him without loving ourselves first. I can't love God without loving myself first. Jesus told us that. Love God, It's your first commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. And Joana de Angelis says we can't love God without loving ourselves because we are His creation. If we don't love ourselves, the results are not loving God. And how can I love my neighbor without loving myself? How can I practice love externally if inside me there is emptiness of love? So this is a very important thing. And she says this is why this is one of the most important parts of our meeting today, because she's basically saying that, yes, we have to be methodical in life. We have to exercise, keep exercising one day after another. It's not, okay, I did this 3 days and then I'm good. Raise your hand, I'm serene now. It's not easy like this. It demands dynamic actions constantly. Isn't it the same with gratitude? It's just saying things that I'm being grateful. I might be saying just in an automatic way, right? Like, thanks. But is this coming in from the deep of my being? Austere discipline of the will. And when we see this is very important because what is our main will? Love.
Be happy, progress.
Isn't that our mission?
Yeah.
So our will should be our mission, right? Should be command. But in our daily life, it is our will. And as we say, I'm going to try to translate this in English now. We always say that what matters is good intention, right? Having good intention is what matters in life. The rest, God knows that I have a good intention. What about my intention is not well directed? Oh, Erick, I can't understand what you're talking about. How can my good intention be missing the path? How can our good intention miss the path, the righteous path?
When it's not being fair with the others or lovable with the others.
Fair with the others. Basically, when I'm not practicing a very, very important thing called reflection. Let's take a huge example of our history of all times, of great intentions, very, very badly directed, causing a lot of pain. Saul of Tarsus, when he went to kill all the Christians because he hated them and went to kill Stephen, he was trying to defend Moses. He was trying to defend the law. In his mind, he was purely well-intentioned. He was trying to protect God. The last few words of Stephen to Abigail are perfect to describe that. Do you guys remember what was his last words to Abigail when he was almost to die? He said, forgive him, forgive Paul or Saul. When he knows Jesus, You will defend him with the same strength, because then he will realize where resides the truth. So when we have the right will connected to our main mission, which is be happy, to get closer to God, knowing the truth. If we are making effort daily, discipline, austere, dynamic action, methodical life, we will get there sooner or later. For sure, if I do more effort, and then it's connected to another law of effort, it will come faster. If I am a little lazy, I will try, have 7 days a week, okay, we'll just try 3 days and the other 4 rest. Or I will try 6 days, but one day God gave us rest, right? That was Moses' law. He gave already an example that, yeah, it wasn't that greatly following the right. So with that said, Alirio brings this beautiful reflection about Serenity, or all the virtues connected to it. Who would like to read this for us?
When we enter the lands of impossible, wanting to play the whole of God, pride, revolt, ingratitude, and acceptance will take place. By rebelling against his laws, we generate a deep imbalance that generates anxiety and anguish. This is why it is essential to practice inner vigilance through self-questioning to free ourselves from feelings of omnipotence, arrogance, and impotence, exercising humility, meekness, gratitude, and acceptance.
Well, this is beautiful because we're talking about all the bad feelings that don't connect us to God, pride, revolt, ingratitude, or ungratefulness, unacceptance, and then we bring the right way, the correct way. Humility, meekness, gratitude, and acceptance. Can you see the connection between being someone who is humble, someone who is meek, who is grateful, and accept himself? And what is acceptance? We talked about this law or this virtue before. What is acceptance? It's connected to which virtue? Very important. You guys said before.
Acceptance of apprentice.
Feeling of apprentice. I accept that I'm not perfect, and then I have to develop myself. So, can you see all these virtues in one person? Is this person will be a serene person or not?
Chances are. Chances are high.
Very high, right? Because usually a proud person, no chance to be serene. A person with easy way to revolve, a rebel person, not very serene. An ungrateful person, for sure is not serene because I keep complaining. If I'm not grateful, what I keep doing? Complaining all the time. Complaining about everything. And if I don't accept myself as apprentice, how can I be serene? I am already a master, right? If I am a master, what I have to learn? So with that said, the immutable faith is essential to develop serenity. And immutable faith is based in self-confidence, confidence in life, and confidence in God. And then you might say, Erick is always related to faith, but it's not any faith. It's not just coming here and saying, I believe in God. Is that it? Where did we start? What was the first circle that came after indubitable faith? Can you see someone being serene without self-confidence? And self-confidence is not someone who I can jump in the crocodile lake and I will survive. That's madness, insanity, that's not self-confidence. But if I have confidence in myself, or better saying, if I don't believe in myself, I don't see myself anymore in the spirit. You see that? If I don't have confidence in myself, I am not feeling myself as an immortal spirit. Why? Why is that? This is a very important statement for the closure of our meeting, connecting to all what we said. Everything starts with the word immortal. This life won't end if I fail in 2 weeks. But if I am already putting myself as a failure, I'm already putting a barrier between me and success. I'm already putting a way to boycott myself against success. And if I have self-confidence, okay, I might make a mistake. I will try my best, but if something goes wrong, that's fine. Oh, but I might lose my job. Okay, so what are you gonna do? What is the worst thing that's gonna happen if you lose your job?
You have to find another.
Is life gonna end because of that? Or worse? Let's say I have a very serious illness, cancer, and the doctor said the chances of you being healed are 10%, very little. Then we have 2 ways to go. The guy will go crazy and enjoy life like everybody said, I'm gonna try life, as I've never done before. Or it will go, or actually 3 ways. Then we'll go in that, why me? Why does this happen? And already putting it as a failure. Both ways it's a failure. One of them is just too evident that I don't give a damn. I will do whatever I have to do. But what if everything goes wrong? And the 10%, I am inside of the 10%. What if I am not? And I die? How does it connect to what we are talking about? And I'm an immortal spirit. Okay. It's not that I don't care about this life. Yes, I care. But if it is time to go, Exactly. And keep putting myself, what is gonna create inside you in this case? Oh, I didn't do everything that I had to do in this life, and I had so much things to do. My family will struggle if I pass away. Yeah. I don't have another life. I should keep trying. Grant this feeling. I will have always more time. I will always have a second chance. Either my job, either in this life, either on the whole creation. It's all creating serenity in my mind. Even the worst case scenario that human beings always struggle to deal with, which is death, Spiritism consoles us, comforts us so much that life doesn't end. And you will not burn an eternal hell for the rest of your life because of your mistake. You will have a second chance. You will have another opportunity. So be serene. Keep trying your best. Do whatever you have to do, because then that will connect us to confidence in life. Understand that all these laws that are surrounding us are pushing us to achieve the great happiness, are pushing us to evolve, learning them, understanding them, and practicing them, respecting them in our lives. Again, I can jump from the building, but I didn't know that gravity was there. I can't stay in the moment. I knew. Even worse for those. How is it? We are about to finish. Just a few reflections. I'm gonna open for questions or remarks. But I'd say 5 minutes. Well, I have 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks, sir. And as I connect to these laws, the consequence will be being confident in God, because He created me, He created life. If I don't trust myself, I'm not trusting God. That's a consequence. If I'm not trusting His laws, the consequence, I'm not trusting Him. So this is the biggest and most important reflection. Yes, we have the struggles of our horizontal life. Struggles, family, struggles in work, struggles in the volunteer work. But all those challenges are here to help us knowing ourselves, understanding our weakness, our current weakness, because it's not an eternal weakness, but it's just a momentary weakness that will help me evolve in that, develop in that, achieve my goal. Being serene, not anxious. I can't jump the wall. I can't cheat the creation, because the alert, the police, is not out there. It's inside here. Our conscious is our police. And it's not against us again. It's bringing us to reality. Hey, Eric, it's wrong. It's wrong what you're doing. you can do best. Stop resisting, stop rebel, stop revoke what is inevitable. It is inevitable that we will evolve. But as soon as I want that, God will push us slowly, because evolvement is inevitable again. But if we want to do faster and happier, we can just not. So this is a main goal, to comfortably be self-confident. There is one important virtue that we talked about today. It's gratitude. Let's be grateful for the trials, even the expiations we pass through in life. Either the Spirit's book, Gospel according to Spiritism, and both repeat the same thing. Spirit's telling us, be grateful for what you're passing in this life. Because from that, it will be your chance to evolve, our great opportunity. Because if we didn't have that, we would be stuck. So I would like to open for comments, questions. If you didn't like what you heard, are more than welcome to tell me this morning. Does it all make sense? I appreciate your time. I appreciate this opportunity of do 2 meetings talking of so important subject that touches us so much in our current society. Because every one of us have a little bit or a lot of anxiety. The problem is, when it's too much, it can be a clinical state that can drive us to not a good thing to do. So, try to avoid that and develop the virtue that unbalance this anxiousness and serenity. Right? Okay, let's see if the kids have anything for us. Ok, a gente vai fazer oração por nós. Vamos fazer oração por nós.